Hi, and welcome back to the Still Rolling Jiu Jitsu podcast. I'm Matthew Montgomery. Today, my guest is a man by the name of Oskar Singer. He's also gone by Amon Ra, Tutankhamun, Hercules, a few other things when we introduce ourselves in the mornings. But what you need to know is he's a black belt under Robin Giesler. He's a former track champion at The Ohio State University. He also spent decades as a SWAT officer with the Columbus Division of Police before he transitioned into the corporate sector. Well, he now serves as the director of global security. He represents the rare intersection of elite athletics, high stakes tactical law enforcement, and traditional Gracie Jiu Jitsu. Oskar, it's a pleasure to have you on the show, man. How you doing?
I'm doing fabulous. Thank you.
Fabulous. Good. So I am going to start with an anecdote. I met you the first time I came into Gracie, Ohio. I had never seen you, but it was probably 5 o'clock in the morning, a little after 5:30. I was going to go to the 6 a.m. and the 7 a.m. classes. I came in and I saw this dude that was cleaning the bathrooms and he was messing around with laundry and whatnot. I thought he was a cleaning guy. It was you. And you gave me some direction on where I needed to go and that kind of thing. You were very nice. But I just figured that was how we kept the gym clean. They had hired cleaning folks. You weren't in a gi, obviously, and so I went to the first class and in the Hudson room, and then I came out to the main mats for the 7 a.m. class, and you came walking in onto the mats, and it was no gi. You still didn't have a belt on. We ended up partnering. My first instinct was, okay, cool. This guy, was cleaning. Some people will clean mats at other academies. They'll do things around the academy in exchange for, their gym dues or whatever.
Mhm.
And then, so we partnered up and we started training, and, I had no idea what kind of rank you had or anything like that. And we were going over a move that was being taught. I can't remember. I think it was Mike McLean was teaching that day. And so we were kind of troubleshooting a piece, and I had an idea how it would work. And I had no idea I was talking to a 4-stripe brown belt, me as a 2-stripe blue belt at the time. And I'm telling you how I think it works, and you didn't necessarily agree, but I was pretty sure I had it right. And you didn't tell me that, well, I'm a brown belt. You didn't say any of that. You didn't read me your NCAA resume when I was meeting you. Well, before class, none of that stuff. And then I got to talking to RJ, who's been on the show, and I said, yeah, I met this guy, Oskar, and he's like, man, that dude is 10 foot tall and bulletproof. I said, what are you talking about? He said, well, he had 24 years on SWAT. He's an NCAA track champion. He spent some time on an NFL roster. He's one of the fastest human beings that you're ever going to meet. And I said, well, he didn't tell me any of that. And then I found out that you were getting ready for your black belt. And I was like, holy smokes. This guy never came to me with any kind of ego at all. And not only that, this resume that I found out about you, you were still in helping the academy on your own time, doing laundry, cleaning bathrooms, taking out trash, doing all this stuff, just because that's who you are. And that is an impressive thing that I think we could all take a lesson from. I've known you for a year now, and you're still the same dude. Every day that I come in the mornings, there's Oskar taking care of the house.
Yeah.
And it's impressive to see, especially because I know that you have such an extensive resume. So for that, I want to say thank you, because you're an example to everybody in the gym. I would like to know, how did you get started in martial arts?
Well, thank you for that great intro. But my first introduction to martial arts was from Bruce Lee, not from him personally, but from watching his movies and the crazy stuff that he was doing that just like impressed everyone that watched his movies that he did, and eventually finding out that he created all the stunt scenes and everything. But I started out, I think I was about 14, getting ready. I think I was still in junior high school, ninth grade, getting ready to go to high school. But I started out with JT Will. And I, told my dad that, I wanted to try this whole karate thing. And we lived at Fifth and Cleveland, and JT Will's studio was at Fifth and Northwest Boulevard, uh, a good distance away from Fifth and Cleveland.
Yeah.
So my dad asked, uh, I asked my dad, could you give me a ride down there? And he said, well, how are you going to get back home? I said, I just walk. Kid, I walk to school every day, 2 miles back, 2 miles to school, 2 miles back home. So we go down there, we did our thing with JT, learned some cool lessons. And I was kind of the last guy to leave, collecting all my stuff and helping him put stuff away. And he asked, where did I live? And I said, I just live right up the street, which, as a kid, you think, well, it can't be too far, you know,
Yeah.
I can make it home. So I'm walking eastbound on Fifth Avenue. I think I got maybe to Olentangy and Fifth, and JT just happened to be driving that way and asked me, well, do you need a ride? I'm thinking, well, sure, I'll jump in and hang out with my karate teacher. So, uh, long story short, it was a little further than I had imagined or anticipated. And I was very, 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 very grateful for the ride. And he asked, well, when you come, do you need a ride home? You got somebody to pick you up? And I said, no, my dad would bring me with, and he did. But JT started giving me rides back home. So I had my dad drop me off, and you go in the studio sometime, you see Chuck Norris in there, like, oh, this guy was in a movie with Bruce Lee fighting him in Rome in the stadium there, or you see Jim Kelly. It's like, oh, that's the guy that was in the movie with Bruce Lee, the real cool guy. And of course, Jim Kelly made some karate movies on his own. Chuck Norris made some karate movies on his own. This was at the very beginning stage of the 70 karate boom. Bill Superfoot Wallace, you see all these guys in there. I'm thinking, wow. And then sometimes they would come in to teach, or sometimes they would be in there just to hang out with JT Will. Uh, did that for a
So
while.
you literally had Chuck Norris teaching
But Chuck never
you
taught.
sometimes.
He was just there,
Okay.
talking back and forth with
Right.
JT. Chuck
Okay.
was just kind of watching, and not because I would ask. So we on the rides home, I would ask. I said, well, "Hey, why don't you, get in the movie?" And I said, "Of course, I'm thinking that if I get good like you and these guys, you could put me in one of your movies, right?"
Yeah.
And JT said, "Well, I'm not in front of the camera guy. I'm a behind the camera guy." And it just reminded me of another good friend of mine too, that is a Taekwondo champion, is legendary, still in the Taekwondo world. But started out doing that with JT, and it was fun. I mean, I guess when you are a kid, you have energy. So with
Hmm.
energy, you want to try these new things out and be the next karate master, and have people make movies about you and talk about you. Um, After that little stint, I started training judo with a buddy of mine from our neighborhood, uh, Tanis Vaughn, and Robinson is his last name, and Jesse Robinson is his brother. They both turned out to be firefighters, which was kind of interesting from the neighborhood that we grew up in. A lot of people from our neighborhood became firefighters or cops, but
Right.
that's a whole nother story. But so I started doing that, and it was cool. A lot of grabbing and dropping people on their head or shoulders and just laying on top of them. A lot of good throws. But when I first started, we didn't have mats, so we were kind of doing this on hardwood floors. And I'm thinking, this might not
Wow.
be my cup of tea, you know.
Yeah.
And I was running track, and I was playing football at the time. When football season started, we had our two a days. I couldn't make the karate stuff anymore, and I did miss that because it was fun. We did a lot of the tournaments, And in the tournaments back then, we didn't have headgear and we didn't wear gloves. You know, it was pull punches kind of. You could kick,
Yeah.
but yeah, it was different than the way it is now. And the judo, um, I never competed in any of the judo tournaments. I can't even tell you. It was just fun for me. I can't tell you what rank I was, or you know my belt color.
Yeah.
It was just enjoyable for me to do. But then I got wary of the karate and the judo, and really start focusing in on my football and track, entering into high school. Linda McKinley, the original Panthers,
Okay.
original Panthers. Yeah.
Okay. So you started focusing on track and football,
Hmm.
and obviously you excelled in both. Um,
Yeah.
what what was that like? And tell me the year again. And I don't. Well, I'm going to age you. I know you're 66 years old. Um, I've said you might be an alien because you have a 60-inch box jump still, and that's not normal, man. So obviously the elite athletics. Um, Tell me a little bit about developing, with track and football.
Well, unfortunately, one of my old coaches, we just buried him a couple months ago. He took us, four of us that ran on the club back then, to a AAU meet out in Cerritos, California, right outside of Pasadena in 1974. Yeah, so we're dating ourselves, 1974. And we drove out there from Ohio. One of the best experiences I think I could have ever had as a 14-year-old kid. Me and my five buddies. We had George, Robbie, Jimmy, and Kenny Lanier. Which Kenny Lanier, that's a whole nother story from a guy that was just from Mary Franklin, that was an incredible athlete, and wind up playing football number 76 in the NFL and blocked for John Elway.
Yeah,
But
yeah, I know who that is. I'm a Broncos fan.
yeah, so yeah, Kenny, and there's a continuation of that story from a guy I went to college with that wound up in Denver, started out in Dallas, that I ran track with for Ohio State. But I'll go back, 1974. We head out to Cerritos, California, and for the AAU age group nationals, and there was a guy out from Arizona there, and everybody kind of slept on Ohio speed. They slept on it. They made fun of us, Ohio, where you got a bunch of cows and pigs, and all you do is farm. It's not like, we lived in a city. Columbus was a pretty big city. Not as big as
Yeah,
L.A. or New York, or some of the larger cities. But we go out there, and this kid from Arizona named Dwayne Evans was one of the premier sprinters at the time. Now we all 14. But we get out there, and they sizing us up. We didn't care about them. We were just doing our thing. We were running our slow mile in our lineups. Passing baton to each other. 4 miles, nice and easy, till we got ready for our individual races. And my first individual race that day was 100-yard dash, because we're still running yards instead of meters like they do now. And
okay,
fast times. So Dwayne and I were kind of in 5 and 6, so we're right beside each other. Come out, we're running there, and it was a tight race. But I know that I outleaned him, but they gave the victory to the West Coast boy. And I kind
okay,
of lost my cool, and my coach and my teammates came and said, "Oh, calm down, calm down. You got other races, focus, focus, focus." And I did, and I regrouped, try not to lose my cool. So next race after that, I believe, was the 200, and he was on outside lane. I was an inside lane, so he was in 7, I was in 6, which those are good lanes for the 200. The closer you are to the outside lane, it's an easier curve for you to run. That's just a little tip for the 200-meter runners. And you run the 200, you always just want to turn your head just slightly to the inside to help you manage that curve a little bit. And you want to be first to the very first 100-meter mark off the curve before you get into the straightaway. And I did all those
Yeah.
things. And I caught Dwayne and beat Dwayne by a pretty good margin, set a national record. And actually, going back to the 100, we both set national record. We ran like 9.6 back 14 years. Well, I just turned 15, so just turned 15 out there. So it was in August when we were out there. I just turned 15. So I ran 9.6. She ran a 9.6, but they said he out-leaned me, which I still dispute that. But going back to the 200, I beat him in that national record, a 21 something at 15, which, you think about it now, that was pretty
Wow.
good. And it was 200 yards instead of 200 meters. And then the classic race is the 4x1, which is the premier race of track and field. If you look at it as points or trying to win the city title or national title, it always winds up being the 4x4, the 400 meters. And that's the
Yeah.
last race of the track. But the premier sprint race of track and field is the 4x1. So the classic setup, neck and neck. Two of the fastest guys that day got the baton at the same time, me and Dwayne. Smoked him, set another national record. And after that, he loosened up. We started to talk because we didn't have friends. We didn't want to be friends, when you're there
Yeah.
to win. And we didn't drive
Mhm.
all the way from Columbus, Ohio to Pasadena, California to lose. That was our thought. And actually, Kenny set national records in the shot put too, and did that well into college. A lot of people probably don't remember all the stuff that he did, but set national records. Dwayne and I started talking, past each other's numbers because we didn't have Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, none of the cool
Right.
stuff that the cool kids have now, right?
Right.
And he wanted me to come to Arizona to run track in Arizona with him to build a national team from Arizona to compete with. At the time, was one of the fastest teams that was winning track nationals all over the place was Tennessee, the Volunteers, down there in Knoxville. And Coach Stan Huntsman was the coach of Tennessee. And that name for track people that they're familiar with because he eventually became Carl Lewis's track coach at Santa Monica Track Club
Okay.
when he started doing the private stuff when he left the university. But and I was trying to get all the Ohio guys that were fast to come to Ohio State to run track so we could
Yeah.
build a dynasty here from the state of Ohio. And I talked a couple guys into coming and they stayed for a little bit. Then they wind up going, guess where? To Tennessee.
Okay.
I'm like, geez. And
Interesting.
their careers, man, they're just like, they accelerated. They accelerated. A lot of our guys that ran Columbus, Cleveland, Dayton, wound up at Tennessee, and they had very great careers. But going back to the national title, we came back and to the city after coming home from California and got all little pictures in the paper. And from there, my high school career started for track. My high school career started for football, which I loved that. Linden was probably one of for me, the best experiences outside of college that I have in my life. Going to high school and being around those guys from Linden that we all started out playing football with the Linden Eagles through club teams before we made it to high school. So we had guys that had tackling fundamentals, knowledge, route running, play running, running backs. We had fundamentals that not all kids get today, unfortunately. But
Yeah.
we had guys that really dedicated themselves to teaching us young men how to be good football players.
Good. Um, so did you play any football in college?
No, and that's funny you say
Okay.
that. I had a bet with my dad that, and I wanted to if I had, man. We only know what we know now because like I said back then, going back to the AAU meet, right? I remember
Yeah.
long jump. I had set a national record, and I think I jumped like 23.5 or something like that in the long jump. And I remember a guy that was clearing out the sand pit after we jumped in the sand pit, saying, "Man, you guys are going to be ready for the Olympics, right?" So he's saying this to us, 15-year-old kids in 1974. And in my mind,
Yeah.
I'm thinking, I have to go to college first to
Right.
be prepare myself to be an
You're like,
Olympian.
man, I'm not in high school yet.
Yeah, but you look at it today, these kids today, high school, there was a kid out of Florida that was world leading speed in the world in high school,
Yeah.
running 9.98 in 100 meters. We were running that in
Wow.
yards back then. But long story
Yeah.
short, going back to 74, after leaving Cerritos, California, graduated high school in 1976, made up my mind to go to Ohio State because I was going to be a good, Buckeye boy. Wanted to, bring praise and grace to the university because we're local. I wanted to do something big
Yeah.
for the university. And I didn't know anybody that ran track at Ohio State. I would see people, at some of these meets that ran for Ohio Track Club that were ex OSU athletes. But 76, we graduated from high school. Dwayne's people, his group, his coaches had the foresight enough to think that, "Hey, we're going to start preparing you for the Olympics for 1976." Long story short,
Yeah.
Dwayne goes to Montreal Olympics, wins a bronze medal. And I'm thinking, that's my medal. But our
Right.
guys didn't
I
say,
smoked that dude.
uh, and what was cool about it, it was an American suite. And I can't remember, I know it's Mark Lux won, and it was another guy. I can't remember who the other guy was. I have to look that up. But Dwayne was the silver medalist, was some guy that I don't know. Mark was a gold. Dwayne was a bronze. And
Yeah.
Dwayne Evans is a guy that I smoked in Cerritos, California on a clay track. It wasn't even a Chevron track, no high speed track. It was packed clay with ash
Yeah.
lines on it for the lanes. I can't imagine if I had an opportunity to run on that on the Olympic track and prepare, for that. But that was my first opportunity for Olympic medal, which that's in a very exclusive club that not
Yeah.
many people in the world could say that they were Olympians.
Right.
But Dwayne
Yeah.
did that, yeah. And I'm like, oh man,
Well, you didn't exactly sit on your laurels though, right? So you went and all you did is become a national champion at OSU, right?
yeah, yeah. We went over there and traded the dream that I had. We won in a couple championships, couple Big Tens, and placed in NCAA's in Oregon in '76 on the 4x4, which I wasn't a 4x4 guy, the 400-mile relay. That's what they call it. So,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
I ran a decent enough quarter and because of the speed. But yeah, and then actually as a freshman, and unfortunately, I think the same year that Ralph passed, uh, Kozu passed, and I think he's 25. He passed away too, or maybe time flies by so fast. But 25 or 24, my college coach passed. 93 or
Okay.
94 years old. I mean, man lived for a very long time. Still looked the same. Not a gray hair in his head. I mean, his hair still thick, but
Yeah.
he was just aged out and slipped away to uh, you know his piece, I guess. But as a freshman, uh, we had 300 yards, so I still have the 300-yard record, 30.9, because after we ran that race, um, they changed it to 300 meters. So
Right.
I still have the record there, and
That'll never be broken.
no, and actually, Coach remembers that. Yeah, we had some great times out in Kansas running against Cliff Wiley. Cliff Wiley was one at in that time period was one of the premier 400-meter runners from Kansas. Went out there and ran on a blue track. Never ran on a blue track before, and I knew, the track guys, they know each other, but all the 100-meter guys, 200 guys, sprinters will stay together. And during that time period, the 400 was kind of like in the middle distance between the 400, 800-meter runner, but now 400 is a sprint race. And Cliff lines up in the 100-meter lane next to me, and I'm looking at him, what are you doing, Cliff? I'm going to work on some speed. I said, oh, man, no, not today. Not today. But went down there, I think I ran a 10.3 or 10.2 on him. And during that time period, if you run 10.3 or 10.2, you was winning races. But the fastest guys were running 10.1s. Then you had Steve Williams, which was a California guy that actually broke 10 seconds, was running 900 meters. But Steve kept pulling hamstrings. He couldn't stay healthy enough to complete a whole season, but he was just so powerful. And
Yeah.
then now you look at any 100-meter race now, and you see these guys who are running, and they tell you they ran like a 9.8, and they got last.
Yeah.
You should think, well, God dang, who won? What was the guy that beat you? What was his time?
Right.
So if you run a 9.8 and somebody's in your last place, then you got these guys running 9.7s, 9.6s. Hussein Bolt done touched 9.6 in 100 meters, which is
Yeah.
insane. And I always tell people this: if you want to see the evolution of human accomplishment, watch track and field.
Yeah.
Run faster, jump higher.
I agree.
Think about a 2-story building. Just walk anywhere and look at a 2-story building. There's a guy, what's his name? Duplessis, Mono Duplessis, pole vaults over a 2-story pole, which is a 2-story building
Wow.
with a pole. Think about a 2-story building, or just think about how tall 8 feet is.
It's funny that you mentioned that because, like, when I watch the Olympics and I love watching track and field,
Yeah.
but if I'm watching a pole vault, somebody's jumping 20 some odd feet up in the air, I'm not necessarily thinking, oh, that's literally over somebody's house.
Yeah. Easy.
Uh,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
15 feet.
easy.
That's
Yeah,
easy. He's
yeah,
jumping another 5 feet.
yeah.
So, and clearing it.
Jeez.
And
Right.
clearing it. If you ever get a chance, Lucas Oil Stadium, there's a story behind that place too, but right next to the Colts Stadium is the
Hmm.
Track and Field Hall of Fame in Indianapolis. And when you
Okay.
see how tall 8 feet is, and somebody runs
Yeah.
down there and do this Fosbury flop thing, which it still blows my
Yeah.
mind. How do you run and jump and then turn your back and jump over a pole?
I
A guy from
saw. I
Cuba.
actually. I saw a thing about the physics of the high jump like that.
Yeah.
And actually, what's happening is your plant foot and the way that they plant, it's similar kind of inertia that they create with a pole vault.
Yeah.
Instead of a pole, it's basically their leg that's springing them up
Yeah. Which
to
is
get up over that
incredible.
bar.
Yeah. I have a buddy of
Yeah.
mine that we still, well, I keep in touch with all my track buddies. We have a chain link that I send out to them because I'm up at 4:30 for class. So, and Simon
Yeah.
I used to call him AM Simon because he's up riding his bike 100 miles a day. Him and Steve lives here. Simon lives in Miami now. But so when I get up, I always send them rise and shine, gentlemen. Let's get to work in. So I always send them
Hmm.
that message every morning. If I forget one of them, Steve or Simon or Johnny or Mark or somebody sending out a message, but these guys are living all over the country.
Yeah.
But they get up and ride their bikes. But yeah, you want to see the evolution of man? Watch track and field. Just imagine a guy running down 50 meters, maybe 25 meters, planting his foot on a board, then jumping through the sky, landing 29 feet away from the board.
Right.
And here's a prime example of that. The glimpse into the future that is now was in 1968, the Mexico Olympics. Bob Beamon, Lee Evans, I think Bob Hayes was in that one, where those guys broke under 20. Bob Beamon jumped 29 feet, almost jumped out the long jump pit because nobody thought that anyone could do that. John Carlos ran under 20 seconds, 19 something in the 200 meters in 1968. People can't, when you think about what the body is, well, you do the combination of the body and the mind, what the body and the mind is capable of doing. Those, and now you got guys that are doing advanced that even further today. Hell, we didn't have the technology. We didn't have the nutrition value. We didn't have the stretching value. In the 70s, they told us if you lifting weights will make you slow.
Interesting. I can see that. I mean, like, as far as like, I can see that era probably saying, some goofy stuff like that.
The biggest mistake ever. And see, Herschel Walker, Curtis Dickey. It was another football player that was 215 pounds, football, 200
Yeah.
pound guys that was running 10 100 meters.
I,
And
and I
the
don't know
football
if he ran
players,
track, but you ever
yeah,
watch Bo Jackson?
Bo Jackson, Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders
Yeah.
actually was probably he ran for Florida State on their track world record 4x1 relay team. Yeah. And when they talk
Okay.
about how fast Deion was,
Yeah.
that cat was fast, man. I mean,
Yeah.
he was fast, and Deion knew all this thing. But Deion, he could have played. He played basketball, he ran track,
Yeah.
he played baseball, and he loved football.
Yeah.
And now his sons are following in their dad's footsteps. They're not the athletes that their father was. I'll just say that.
No, I don't think so. I mean, number one, that's like an impossible thing to try to live up to. I mean, Dion is a Hall of Fame, you know, he is prime.
Yeah,
He is him when it comes to like old school corners and DBs, kick returners.
yeah,
There's not been many like him anywhere ever. So to try to live up to that, that's a tall order. But yeah, his kids are doing all right.
yeah. They,
Um,
yeah, yeah. They're doing quite. And I
yeah,
always tease all my old high school buddies and college buddies, if the things that are available for these kids today was
yeah,
available for us, we all be multimillionaires, man, living a good life. I'll just say that. We all have been
yeah,
living a very good life because we were raw talent. Uh,
sure,
certain people or coaches were able to develop you into the talent that you would become.
right,
And if you compare that to jujitsu, we all start out face down. We don't know what we don't know, right?
yeah.
But when we start to learn those things that we don't know. We start to learn how to make this particular move work, or we learn not to get caught in somebody's triangle or armbar. So our
Well,
knowledge base,
that's one of the most critical pieces of jujitsu is you have to get armbarred. You have
yeah,
to get triangled. You have to get submitted so that you can learn what not to do and how to avoid putting yourself in those spots. If you just try to explain it, nobody's going to get it. You
No.
have to you have to have it happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
But going back to yeah, I did. Ohio State was fun. I had a great track experience there, and I remember uh, Doug Donnelly, Wade Manning, Ron Springs, which that was my cat, man. Uh, that was my cat. Ron was my cat, and that's a whole nother story in itself. But uh, Ron was the third leg on our 4x1. He played football. He was a football player that
yeah.
stayed and ran track the whole season. And he called me Lee. He said, Lee, I'm always going to bring you the lead. And this dude was
Okay.
like 6'2", 215. And everybody would laugh at him because he was, he can't be that fast. He's too big.
Right.
Third leg, when Ron brought that stick to me, guess what? He brought it to me in the lead and I kept it. And we set all our records based on what Ron Springs did when he ran the 4x1 was the third leg on our team for Ohio State. But going
Yeah.
back to what after that track stuff happened, they had the not like they do now with the NFL Combine, how they make it a big production down in Indianapolis and have all the people come out and do this and do that stuff. We were over at French Fieldhouse, and Wade played baseball. Wade was the baseball
Yeah.
player, still hold stolen base records, hit records at Ohio State from the 70s. And RJ met Wade. And if you talk to RJ, ask him about my buddy Wade. Wade took very good care of RJ. But we never ran a 40. So none of us had run 40s, and I thought Doug and those guys had run a 40-yard dash. Doug never ran a 40. He played football at Ohio State and came out and ran track with us every now and then. But
Hmm.
and Ron had never run a 40, but they played football. So I don't know why these guys didn't have um, 40 times to run. But long story short, and Tyrone Hicks came out. He played football and ran track. But we all ran 40s. Hey, what do you guys? Oh, we're here to check, some of the Ohio State football guys for speed, and see what kind of speed you guys have. So yeah, you mind if we run? So about 5 of us, 6 of us ran 4.240s,
Okay.
and of course, when everybody's looking at their watches, they meeting up in the huddles, looking like, oh, who is this guy? Is he a footballer? Wade was a
Right.
baseball player. Me, Tyrone, and Doug, but Doug and Tyrone also played football. But and Ron played football, but we was running 4.240s, 4.21s and twos. So of course, Doug, Tyrone, Ron got picked up by Dallas. Tyrone got picked up by Cleveland, the Browns. I signed free agent. Tyrone signed free agent. I signed free agent to Seattle. And I remember I had a bet with my dad that I don't have to play football in college, right? I,
Yeah. Yeah.
if I want to go to the NFL, I'll get to
You're
the NFL
fast
just
enough.
based on speed.
Wow.
4.21, 4.25, and 4.29 40s. And we ran 3 of them, 4. And
Yeah.
Ralph Goldstein was the scout for Seattle Seahawks. He lived out in Dublin. Another cool person that I had the opportunity to meet. Came to the house, I think a couple of days after that, when the original draft was going on. It's like I said, it's not the production that it is today. It was kind of quiet,
Right.
no big deal. I don't even think we had ESPN. This is back in
Yeah.
the 80s. Yeah. There was no, I
Yeah.
don't think,
ESPN was sometime in the mid to late 80s. I would
yeah.
say like 85-ish was when ESPN really kind of took off.
So yeah, no ESPN. So he came to the house at 7 in the morning, had breakfast, had lunch, had dinner and dessert. him and my dad had a shot, and they smoked cigars in the back, waiting to see who else was going to call. As soon as I signed with Seattle, now I wish I could find that contract too, because that was pretty cool, man. To say that,
Yeah.
yeah. And I like I said, I bet my dad and I won that I could get there to the NFL just on speed without playing football in college. Wade did
Wow.
the same thing. He was just a baseball player and ran track, but Wade had just God, man, this dude he just had unnatural uh, athletic ability and speed on top of that.
Okay.
So long story short, we go out to Seattle and a guy, Terry Carter from Kent State, Ohio guy. We used to run against all the time. And Terry was fast. Terry's a big kid, had never never played football, and we were roommates out in Tacoma. Me, Vic Miner, Terry, and uh, Rod. I can't remember Rod's last name, but he was at Pittsburgh. Vic played at Southern HBU. Uh, Rod played at Pittsburgh, and I remember seeing these guys on TV because it was a guy that played for Texas, and Texas had the what they call it, the wishbone, and
Yep.
he was out there. And then this Randy Garcia guy played for UCLA, was a receiver. So they asked, what position you think you want? I said, you used to be a receiver. No, no, no. I'm not gonna get hit by Lester Hayes or Jack Tatum, right?
Right.
No, I'm gonna play cornerback. So I played left corner, and I had the opportunity to meet Steve Largent, which is probably one of the best all-time receivers in Seattle history, and I think he's a sitting senator now, or was,
Yep.
and a left-handed quarterback by the name of Jim Zorn. And Jim Zorn
Yeah.
is still Jim was just cool as heck, man. And Sam McCullough was out there when I was there, and another very cool dude that he kind of be aware of this person, be aware of that person. And Jim was the same. Jim was I mean, a good dude, man. I haven't had a chance to,
Looking out for you.
yeah, yeah, and hadn't had a chance to see him in a while. And Seattle was the man. You ever been out to the Pacific Northwest?
Yeah, I lived in Idaho for a couple of years in
Okay.
Boise.
Oh,
And
okay.
actually my mother grew up in Bellingham, Washington until she was
Oh,
12,
okay.
and most of my extended family is up in either Tacoma or up there in Bellingham. And
Yeah.
yeah, so my family, my mother lives in Boise now, and so it's yeah, the Pacific Northwest is one of the best
Mm.
places in the world.
Oh, it is, man. I should not. I say this all the time. I should have stayed there.
Hmm.
Because actually during the time that we were there, that's when Mount St. Helens had erupted. So I mean, ash everywhere, everywhere.
Yeah.
It was like snow, just everywhere. It was all over the ground, all over the city. And I remember guys saying this back in the '80s. Oh, if we could collect this stuff, we could sell it and make millions. Just remember though, there's
Yeah.
no Twitter, no internet, no Facebook,
Right.
and
No drop
it
ship,
if
Amazon.
yeah, yeah, if that was true to the day, yeah, you could have made millions of dollars. But I remember seeing this house that was at the bottom of the hill. This little old lady. They tried to get her to leave, and she refused to leave. And it erupted, and here comes all the lava.
Yeah.
She's not going to leave her
Wow.
house, and you couldn't make her leave. But unfortunately, she lost her life because of being
Wow.
stubborn. Yeah.
Yeah.
But after that, uh, and that whole NFL experience was, uh, like I said, high school for me, college for me, a great life
Yeah.
experience. And I've always said if I had to start life all over again, I would start at Linda McKinley, Ohio State, after I got in Seattle, hopefully. But then let me go back just a little bit. Right after I signed with Seattle, the Buffalo Bills called me like 1 o'clock in the morning. Lenny Willis and Chris. No, Chris was with the Jets. Lenny and oh shoot, the quarterback that used to play there.
For Buffalo?
No,
Jim Kelly?
for Ohio State. For Ohio State.
Oh,
Because they both came in from DC. Lenny was from DC, and dang it, Roger was after him. God dang it, I can't think of his name right now. But they called me.
that's okay.
They called me
Yeah.
and said, "Hey, did you sign with anybody?" I said, "Yeah, I just signed with Seattle." "Oh, what time? Who was that Ralph guy? Was he there all day at your house eating up all you?" And he knew they must have knew right at the start. I said, "Yeah, he was. He was here from breakfast, lunch, dinner, and dessert." And they started laughing. "Well, okay, well, good luck, buddy. Good luck."
Yeah.
Um, Cornelius Green, Lenny and Cornelius Green were in Buffalo, and I
Okay.
reflect on that call. The reason why I bring this up is because if I had signed with Buffalo, I think I would have made the team because of Lenny and Cornelius. Because Lenny
Okay.
ran track at Ohio State, and Lenny was like a 9,300 yard dash guy back then from Washington, D.C. Lenny was fast as
Yeah.
hell. But the reason why I went to Seattle was because Buffalo, 30 inches of snow and cold.
Yeah.
No, man.
No, or you can play in the kingdom on a carpet.
And that was the very first indoor dome stadiums in the NFL
Mhm.
out there in Tacoma,
Yeah.
Seattle. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, very cool.
Oh man, yeah.
So after the NFL, so you come back to Ohio, what made you choose becoming a police officer?
Well, let me say this, and like I say, remember the neighborhood I grew up there. We hated cops
Yeah. Yeah.
until I became a cop. But how that happened, a buddy of mine from our neighborhood heard, "Hey, I heard you, I was back from Seattle." He shows up to the house in a Cruiser 162, the Grand Fury police car. I'm thinking, "Oh man, what the cops out here in front? What's going on?" And Chuck gets out the car
Yeah.
in uniform. I said, "Chuck, you can't be parking." "Oh, shut up, fool. Everybody know me. You don't have to worry about none of that." Because he used to pull up in a Cruiser because everybody stopped. Oh, see it's him. Then we go back to, doing whatever we were doing, playing basketball primarily. He come out there and before they start having the 3-point range, he was shooting 3-pointers, take off his gun belt, lay it down, nobody bother him, and play basketball with us until he got a call. So
Yeah.
he said, "You got to come out and ride with me. You got to come out and ride with me." So I got, you get restless because all my
Yeah.
NFL money, I bought me a nice little sports car, 2-seater, like most young guys do, get the little cool sports car. And you're going to want to ride around in.
Yeah.
Uh, and that story is connected because every time I get a car, I always go buy new tires and rims. So I
Okay.
bought this car, bought tires for it because the rims were kind of like they were cool. The guy sold them to me. Owned Scanlon Tires over off of Main and Grant. Is where the McDonald's and Donato's is at right now. It was Scanlon Tires.
Yeah.
And that's another story I'll lead into that. But Chuck comes back. I go out and ride with him. He worked downtown, 162 Cruiser. And he said, uh, all my friends call me Lee, said, "Lee, that's all I need you to do. Just know where we are. Our car number's 162. If something happens, just get on the radio and ask for help. But you
Right.
got to let them know where you are." And I'm thinking,
Yeah.
man, this is a big responsibility, you know? But then
Yeah.
he also told me that this is his office, the car. Anything that he decided to do, he can do as long as he's not getting called to respond someplace. If you want to sit down and have lunch, you want to go talk to people here, you could do that. So we're downtown, just kind of riding around, looking at the work, and I'm listening, for 162, because just listen to the radio, and he had a walkie-talkie, and then this Continental with the Kiss doors pulls up next to us, right? Guy and a woman, and she's asking us, "How do you get to the Sheraton?" And I'm looking at her, and I'm thinking, "Man, that woman looks familiar." Right? So Chuck said, "Go here, go there, go here, go there." He said, "Don't worry about it. Just follow us because there's a lot of one-way streets downtown, a lot of one-way streets." So we led him to the Sheraton. Come to find out, it was Pearl Bailey. You familiar with Pearl Bailey?
No, I have no idea.
Oh man, geez, don't tell me you know who Minnie Pearl is, right?
Oh, I've heard of Minnie Pearl, yeah.
Okay.
I've watched the Blues Brothers.
Yeah. No, no, that was Hee Haw.
Or that was Minnie the Moocher, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
No, so Minnie Pearl. I
yeah.
don't know. That's I've
Oh,
heard the name, but I don't I'm too young, I guess.
oh, but Pearl
Sorry,
Bailey
man.
was an entertainer, one of the black entertainers that was real popular, sing, dance, great actress, super, super, super nice woman. As we got to the hotel that she was looking for, the Sheraton, she said, "Well, you look like a nice college boy." She said, "What are you going to do with your life?" And I said, "Well, I don't know." And then Chuck said, "Well, he's going to be like me. He's going to join the police department. Well, we need more young, good men to join the police department. You should do that." And I'm thinking, really? She said, "Yeah, as a matter of fact, give me your address. And here's my number." So she gave us her number, and we gave her our address. Pearl Buddy was like a huge figure for the black community back then, right?
Yeah.
And actually, her husband was the drummer. I keep want to say Buddy Rich, but it's Buddy Rich isn't the name. But he was the drummer for the Johnny Carson show.
Yeah.
So she was married to a very cool guy that was a musician, entertainment. She was entertainment, singer, actress, dancer. So long story short, we give her information, and a couple weeks later, she said, "I'm gonna send you a book that I wrote." She used to write children's books. So she sent a children's book to me and Chuck, signed it, and then she, asked me. I know she asked Chuck. I probably should ask him. She probably did, but uh, she wondered where, when she comes back, could we take her to a soul food restaurant? So it was Donita's over at Livingston and Kent. I think Kent led right into Livingston Avenue, but Donita's was there, and I knew that family. Then a buddy of mine, Ed, and them guys had the marble gang. So when she came back, she calls the house. Like I said, this is before Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that stuff. Hey, I need somebody to pick me up in the airport. Oh, okay. I have my NFL money car, my little Triumph TR7. So I pick her up. She come by the house, when over at Fifth and Cleveland. Our neighborhood was real close because we had a lot of industry in the neighborhood with Timkins, the plastic plant down on Fifth Avenue. Fifth and Cleveland was Timkins Roller Bearing. Hudson and 71 was the ball bearing place that actually I worked in when I was in college, right at 71 and Hudson. So there was a lot of work in that area. Uh, so I pick her up, bring her by the house, and people would come by our house all the time. Nobody ever come to the front door because they knew they come right to the back, tap on the window, back door's open. You just come in from the mud room slash beautician where my mom did everybody's hair to the kitchen, right?
Yeah.
So, they come in and everybody kind of look. I'm like, the first time, oh, that looks like Pearl Bailey, Pearl Bailey, Pearl Bailey. Then she said, "All right, I'm ready to go to the room." So I take her to her hotel, but she must have some deal with the Sheraton. And then she asked me, "What are you doing tomorrow?" And I said, "Well, I'm not doing anything. Well, come get me at this time." Now I had joined the police department then in May 10th, 1981, right? So that made her happy. And, but her and I became good friends, and I would say Chuck Grooms and Per Buddy was the two people, and and plus my family, of course, that inspired me to join the police department and to serve the community, to be a positive thing for the community, to see
Yeah.
uh, somebody that kind of looks like the neighborhood that grew up in the neighborhood, working in law enforcement. Um,
Sure.
7 years in patrol. I love wearing my uniform. I really did. I love, just putting the uniform on and then just going out there. And I was the type of guy that the last thing I wanted to do was take somebody to jail. Now, if you committed a felony, rape, robbery, murder, you don't give me a choice. But if
Right.
it's, the letter of the law, the spirit, I prefer the spirit. If you committed a felony, you don't give me a choice.
Right.
You have to I have to lock you up for the choices, the poor choices that you made. You don't rob people, you don't take something from somebody. You don't, and that's what rape, or robbery, and you don't take somebody's life,
Right.
right? But uh I used to get in trouble for not writing tickets. I would get in
Okay.
trouble for showing up on the run and smiling at somebody that put in a service call. Why are you
Right.
smiling? This is not funny. Well, I don't even know what it is. I'm here to help you.
Yeah.
But my thing is, I always saw I didn't want to be that, and we have a lot of those people out there now that just do things that are totally unnecessary. My thought was, by being in law enforcement, by joining the police department, was to help as many people as I could, and I think I did that. I remember one night uh, working um, Uzi Alley, Greenbrier area. Is one of the notorious, and I say the most notorious area in the east side of Columbus. Put over a guy running the stop sign, minor stuff. You know why I'm pulling you over? No, I'm pulling you over because you ran a stop sign. Can I see your driver's license registration, please? Hands it to me. And I'm thinking, do I write him a ticket? Because he's on his way to work. Get him out the car.
Yeah.
And I started a ticket for something. Then I'm kind of looking at his car and hearing the, muffler, something else mechanical going on. And I said, well, I need you to sign this. And he refused to sign the ticket.
Okay.
And when you refuse to sign the ticket, legally you could arrest him for refusal. Then if I had to arrest him,
Right.
I means I had to impound his car. It's going to cost him more money. And I was trying to do everything I could not to do that. Then I found out this cat didn't know how to read, didn't know how to write. And he was willing to sacrifice his job, which I don't know what his job was at the time, sacrifice his job not to sign the ticket because he didn't know how to, he couldn't
Right.
tell me. And I said, well, just
Right.
put an X here. And I asked him, I said, because something wasn't right. Something wasn't right.
Yeah.
I said, I said, read this right here. Then eventually he told me, he said, I can't. I don't know how to read. I don't know how to write. So, okay. I said, I can work with that. I said, I tell you what, I said, I think the statute of limitations are up on writing misdemeanor tickets, right? So I won't get in trouble for this or indicted. So
Okay.
I said, I'll hold this ticket if you meet me Broad and Grant, Broad and downtown. There was the reading service that was offered, right? You come in there, you could that
Right.
teach you how to read for free. Basically, you signed up like on a
Yeah.
Tuesday. And I had moved. I was living up north across from the continent off of Bush and 161 back then, when all the North End, Morse Road, 161 was the hottest areas in the city. And Continent at the time was like Easton is now, or Bridge Park is now. The Continent was music, dining, entertainment, dance, movies. It was right there across the street. And I told the guy to meet me down there at 7 on a Tuesday, because I was off on like Monday and Tuesday, right? And I'm laying on my couch half asleep. And I realized, because I kept thinking, there's something I'm supposed to do. Oh, shoot, I'm supposed to meet that guy down to I jump at it was about like a quarter to 7, high speed. I made it just in time. And that guy was
Yeah.
sitting out there in this car waiting for me. And we went in there together. And years later, I see him at Kroger's or Walmart or someplace, and he had kids with him. And because before he was real introverted. I
Yeah.
see him years later. He comes up, oh, this is the officer right here I was telling you guys about. And I'm like,
Yeah.
looking at him, trying to think friend or foe, And anytime
Right.
I can remember, if anybody was with me, I always tell them, stand on my left, move away to my left. Because I don't know if they're friend or foe and wait for a signal. If they're good
Right.
people, I'll bring you over and introduce you. Or if they're not, just be a good witness, get out the way, and
Right.
let me go to work. But he said, oh, this is a guy that helped me and did this and did this. He said he reads 3 or 4 books a month, and he has his kids learning to read. He makes sure that they read together. And he said, man, what you I changed his life
You
because
changed that man's life. Yeah.
it could have went the other way. It could have went the other
For
way by
sure.
taking him to jail and just humiliating him and making this whole situation even worse. But something told me that it was something more to the story than what he was telling me.
Well, so in or outside of police work,
Yep.
you are going to run into and encounter people, and however your interaction goes can alter the trajectory of their entire existence. And uh, when you add the fact that in police work, you're dealing with people that are at critical points of their life where
Yeah.
one way or another can have absolute drastic consequences, good or bad,
Yeah.
for how that interaction goes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and you didn't just change that guy's life; you might have saved that guy's life.
Well,
Because you don't know where if let's say he goes to you arrest him, he goes to jail, he loses his job, then he
right.
becomes homeless. Then
Right.
how further off the track does that life go?
Yeah.
Where you help somebody out for a minute, okay,
Yeah.
and now he's reading, and now he's got a family, and now he's reading to his kids. Now maybe his kids have gone to college, maybe they have good
Yeah.
careers. Like you have saved
Yeah.
that guy's life, but you've also impacted everybody else around him
Around him. Yeah.
in
And
one good
that's funny
gesture.
that I'm sorry.
No, in one good gestured moment.
Yeah. That's funny you say
How
that
many
because
how many lives do you think you impacted?
oh man, I now you have me thinking. Carlos is a guy that I met, and he was one of my guys that if I needed stuff,
Mhm.
who's doing what, I would go to him. I just use his first name, but
I was
he
gonna say
he
you don't out your CI.
no no, and everybody always wondered, well, how do you? I never lost contact with the neighborhood that I grew up in and the people that I was around.
Yeah.
I I stayed the same, for me it was just a job. A lot of guys, badge gun. Oh, I'm the biggest man on the block. I'm the bad. No, you're not. No, you're not. The
Yeah.
baddest guy on the block, either he's in prison, dead, or he's still out here doing his thing. You're not the baddest guy on the block. But he would, uh, he helped me out a lot with stuff that was going on around certain neighborhoods. I saw
Mhm.
him in McDonald's a while ago, right? And I recognized him before he recognized me, so I'm picking with him. And he realized it was me. I said, man, what's been going on? He said, oh, man, I thought that was you. I'm like, who's this fool, acting crazy with me, man? I was getting ready to do this. I'm getting ready. I said, well, you weren't getting ready to do anything, But I said, because he had a daughter. And I hate to say it, but he had a criminal past, but he was building on that to make a better life for his daughter. So one day he asked me, can you help me go pick up my daughter from the school? I won't say where, but I go pick her up, and she said, "Oh, this is the guy." I said, "This is the guy I was telling you about. He's with." And this is when I went to SWAT, but I tell you how that happened. So I was in SWAT at the time, and I go pick her up. She was in elementary school. Fast forward
Mhm.
2 years later, I see him at the McDonald's, like I was saying, and I said, "Well, hey man, how's your kid?" "Oh, you'll be proud of her." I said, "Okay, well, what's going on?" "She's in Atlanta. She's going to be Emory or someplace to be a doctor. She's getting her medical degree down in Atlanta, Georgia." And she said, she said he told me that, yeah, she remembers you, and she wanted to do something good. But here's a guy that didn't allow his kid to go down the same path that he did. And not down, he
Mm.
went down the path deep into the hole, but he went down just enough to stop, to change the trajectory of his life and his daughter's life. Now she's going to be a doctor and living in
Awesome.
Atlanta, Georgia right now.
So, did you did you have a do you were you still a police officer when you started doing jujitsu?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, now, yes. Remember we was talking about Greg Fierce.
Yeah.
Greg Fierce was a 1984, came went to Madison Square Garden to fight Chuck Norris, Jim Kelly, Bill Superfoot Wallace, all the guys from the 70s that was bad. No, what was the other cast name? I can't think of all their names, but all the guys that we would see on TV. Greg Fierce
Yeah.
was a policeman for the city of Columbus, worked at the Powell Center over off of Parsons Avenue, I believe. Quiet as, if you was in a room with him, you would think you was in a room by yourself. Quiet as a church mouse, right? He goes
Yeah.
there, and it's a book about him doing these fights too. In 1984, goes down there and win the first ever Madison Square Garden, the first ever full contact karate tournament. He beat all those guys that we was watching on TV. Greg Fierce. And him and Ernie Reyes, the Ninja Turtle guys, are,
Yeah.
and Greg was like JT Will. Greg didn't want to, because they asked Ernie Reyes Senior, asked him, "Well, you want to be me and you could do this Ninja Turtle thing? I'll be behind the scenes,"
Yeah.
just like JT Will, behind the scenes guys, but lethal. Greg Fierce showed me my very first control technique, or control, I would say control technique because that's what it was. He showed me my very first control technique that I used my whole police career until I started doing jujitsu in the I think early '90s, right after with the first UFC was in 1992 in Colorado, I believe, when Hoist came out there
Yeah.
and Jim Brown was talking
93, I
about,
think. But yeah.
okay,
Yeah,
92,
but yeah, it was
93.
Jim Brown, it was McNichols Arena in Denver. Yeah.
Yeah, and they were laughing at him. Remember, laughing at Hoist. Oh,
Mhm.
look at this guy with pajamas on. What is he going to do? Why is he going?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he started choking out people, start breaking people's arms, and oh my God, this Hoist Gracie guy, he got him in the guard, and they didn't even know what they were talking about.
They didn't even know what the yeah, that was
Yeah,
I remember that because you could tell, like, I don't think Jim Brown knew the first thing about, uh, actual combat sports,
no, no,
but they
nobody
they
did.
got who they got. They had a name. They had a name that people would recognize and tune
Yeah,
in.
yeah, nobody did. So I
Yeah.
watched that with some friends of mine, and we was like, man, wow, look at this. So John Cooper, I don't know if you're familiar with him because him and Helson, I don't know how John met Helson, but they became best friends. John Cooper started teaching. That's where I first started my jujitsu journey with, was John Cooper at Greg Fierce's school out in off of Bethel Road, Bethel and
Okay.
Hart Road, I think, out there.
Okay.
Then when I
I
found
know
out that,
exactly where that is.
yeah, yeah, I found out that uh, we were affiliated with Jeff Hudson and
Yeah.
Robin, and there were more guys because we had maybe a handful. We had blue belts teaching. John was a blue belt teacher, us white belts, but he gave us the
Right.
basic fundamentals, what Helser showed him. And we had enough knowledge to, when we went down to Jeff Hudson and Robbins, that we could hang with those guys. But those guys in there back then, man, you had killers,
Yeah.
lethal killers, where, when you get in a triangle now, you work out of that. Back then, if somebody put you in a triangle, you just did Quentin Rampage Jackson, what Quentin did to Carlos Sharona, pick him up and slam him.
Yeah.
That was legal back then.
Yeah.
So I started that whole journey back in 94, 5, or in the mid 90s. Hell, actually, Robin was a 4-stripe blue belt when I started. And then soon after that, Robin got his purple belt, and you saw his whole trajectory
Yeah.
came on.
Yeah.
And
And
that,
if you're listening and you haven't listened to one of these episodes yet, Robin is our head coach, and he is a 6th degree black belt under Helson. And so he's been on the mat 30 years. He's been a black belt for about 20, and
yeah.
he's as good as it gets as far as head coaches go.
Oh man, he's yeah. I've been around him so
Another high
long.
character guy.
Huh?
Another high character guy.
Oh yeah, super, super,
I mean,
super much, man. That
yeah,
dude is always been studied. Same personality's never changed. I never seen him ever, ever, ever raise his voice or get mad. Never. Just the calmest person
yeah,
in the room. Shit.
yeah.
Before you even
I don't remember if I brought it up in another episode. I had James Klingerman on, and James Klingerman, he's a black belt out in Indiana, and he was in that that early jujitsu scene, and
yeah,
he knows Robin. He's competed against Robin. Robin put him unconscious in a jujitsu
baseball.
tournament.
Yeah, baseball choke.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was
yeah,
there
okay,
for
yeah.
that. I was there for that.
So so when I had told Robin that I was going to be interviewing James Klingerman, because I didn't really know much, and Robin's like, "Oh yeah, I know him," and he's like, "He's a great guy." He told me all these really nice things about James Klingerman. He didn't tell me that he choked Klingerman unconscious.
Yeah,
He didn't mention that he ever beat him in competition or anything like that. He just talked about what a good guy James was. And
yeah,
James is who told me the story about Robin putting him out cold in a
yeah.
tournament.
In a tournament. It's on
Um,
video. It's on the video out
yeah,
there somewhere.
yeah, and then Robin took him behind the bleachers and taught him what he had done,
Yeah,
and taught James how he caught him, and
yeah,
so relating to the character piece of it, Robin could have started out that whole conversation. Oh, you got James? Yeah, I choked him unconscious. He could have led with that. A lot of
yeah,
people would have.
yeah, man.
They would
Yeah,
have had that moment to fill their ego,
yeah.
and Robin doesn't care about doing that,
No.
and so that's something that I respect and that I admire, and I think you got quite a bit of that too, Oscar. Um,
Well, thank you.
so getting into as your jujitsu journey progressed, were you finding that jujitsu was something that you were using at work?
A lot. Actually, I went to SWAT. I spent 7 years in uniform patrol, which I loved uh, patrol. I remember Sergeant Davison. He called him Spot because he had a spot on his forehead. Called me into the office one day. I was out of Winchester Refugee 9th Precinct, and I'm thinking, oh boy, here I got another complaint, right? I'm thinking, all right, Sarge. I said, what's going on? Who complaining now? Oh, no, it's not that. Come here, I want to show you something. So I was going to his office, and he pulls out this box and sets it on the table. Then he started pulling out pictures and other stuff and SWAT hat and this uniform. This looked like a mechanic's uniform that they used to wear.
Yeah,
And he said, "Hey, I was in SWAT some years ago, and I was talking to Sergeant Ratliff down at the headquarters, and I think this would be a good job for you." And I said, "This is, these
yeah,
guys, they do this, these guys do that, and all you got to do is go down and sign this request form for the application for the job." And remember, I was telling you about scanning tires when I first got my car, when got tires. So I'll go
yeah,
down there and see Sergeant Ratliff with good dudes. Now, don't get me wrong. Now, in those type of work, that type of work still to today. There's certain groups of people that didn't want me around, didn't want women around, because everybody
Mm,
thought that, you can't do the job like I can.
yeah.
I had that experiences too, but everybody deals with it differently. And I would deal with people like that in a very direct manner, help them understand. if you follow my drill, help them understand
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
we went through the same academy, we studied the same laws and procedures, and just because you're not better than me, you're not smarter than me, so that way you understand. Don't disrespect me, and,
Yeah.
and I won't have to do something to you. So
Yeah.
I go down there and see Sergeant Radcliffe, great. Sergeant Davidson, great. And I don't even, I hate to say this because they were older than me, because obviously they had been on for 20 plus years. And I was, what, 7 years in. And he said, yeah, Sergeant Davis wanted me to, told you, come down and sign this. And he thinks that'd be a good job for you. And then of course, Sergeant Radcliffe said, yeah, I think so too. You could go over there and do some good. So I signed it, go for my interview, which they interview everybody who wants to come to the unit. I get there, and after graduating academy, I had to go through a coaching period. So my first coach was Jim Scanlon, right? The guy that when I got back from Seattle, I went to Scanlon Tires and he put new tires on my car.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
so the first guy that I met in patrol was Scanlon. And I'm thinking, wow, that's the guy that put the tires on my car. Then I go to SWAT. He's in SWAT. So I'm thinking, oh, this is cool.
Yeah.
So he's there. And then Bob Reffett, who I still keep in touch with today, which is another super great guy, was there because we worked, I worked out of Carlin Morse Road when I first came on. I worked third shift. He was a second shift guy in patrol. But there were two people in the unit that I knew, and there was other guys that I had seen before, because back in the day, the SWAT guys were assigned to the north end of town, east end of town, or the west side or south side. So they kind of work in correlation with patrol depending on the crime activity. So long story short, November of 1988, I get there, and that was Thanksgiving. And if people don't know, Thanksgiving is probably more stressful for people to where there's family violence
Mm,
during that particular holiday, which is weird. But we got caught out on the barricade. I didn't have any equipment, no knowledge. So I'm riding with Ricky I. I call him Ricky Eyeballs. I'm riding with Ricky I, and we're going to this run, first one, and of course they canceled it. And I said, "Oh, cool." So we came back and we started going through my whole SWAT training. And actually, the year that I got there, I was there with basically a bunch of guys that were ex special forces out of Vietnam. That were when I say some bad dudes, these were some bad dudes. And I was happy to come in at that time to pick up that knowledge from them on how to do certain things, how to be tactically sound,
mhm,
and being able to trust those guys, because uh, you in the service you repelled before,
mhm.
and now when you repel, did you do the standard, get your feet on the
I've
edge,
done
lower
I've
your
done
butt?
I've done the regular rappel, I've done the Aussie rappel, I've done a hellhole, I've done all the different,
Now,
types
which
of
did you
ropes.
like best,
Yeah.
Aussie or the standard?
Aussie's cool. So like, so I
Yeah.
went to the mountain warfare school in Korea, and
Oh
so you
wow.
do some rappels down the rocks. I did it at jungle school as well, but at the mountain warfare school, there's this like cable suspension bridge, and it's basically like four cables. You got two cables for your hands, and then you have two cables that are close together, and there's like these like 1x6s on the others. And so you go out, and then the bridge just kind of stops halfway out. You're 300 feet up in the air, and the bridge just sort of stops, and the cables keep going, but the planks that you're walking on stop,
Yeah, yeah.
and that's where you jump off, and
Jump
it's to
off.
simulate coming out of a helo or whatever,
Right. Yeah.
and
Oh, so you fast
and
roping?
so
Was you fast roping
so
or
no, this
repelling?
was not this was not a fast rope. This
Oh,
was
okay.
this was a rappel. So
Oh, okay. Okay.
you hook up and you go all the way over upside down and loop your foot on the rope above your head, and then you can let go with
Oh,
your
yeah.
hands completely and just
Yeah.
belay with your leg as you fruit bat on the way
Wait,
down.
wait. So you didn't
Yeah.
have a belay guy at the bottom? You belayed
I'm
yourself?
sure I had to have a blade. Well, what I'm saying is, I'm sorry, you can break with your feet.
Right.
Basically, you
Yeah. Just
wrap your foot up above you, and you can
right.
break with your feet,
Yeah.
and
Just
then
touch. Yeah.
you grab a hold again. But yeah, there
Yeah.
was definitely that's safety first, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so I've done that. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah. I like the Australian because tactically it make better
Hmm.
sense at the top of the window.
Yeah,
Or I can look in there. Then I can, invert myself to do whatever, or just come down
yeah,
and take that shot from there too if I had to.
yeah.
But yeah, we did all that stuff, man. Like I said,
The other thing that I enjoyed, actually, just hasty rappelling, having a rope tied to a tree, like a hill
oh
that's
yeah,
too steep to navigate, but not
yeah,
quite like straight down, where you
yeah,
you just pick the rope up behind your waist and you just run down
yep,
the face of the cliff.
yep, yep,
I did a lot
yep,
of hasty rappel. That was fun too.
yeah, yeah. That they did
Yeah,
that in the Universal Soldier down the dam with John Claude Van Damme when they were
yeah,
running down the
yeah,
side of it. And that was pretty. And it's a lot of pressure on your stomach.
yeah,
It's a lot of pressure on your stomach. But yeah, I learned so much from those guys. Man, I could like I said, the time period I went over to G, I could never thank those guys enough for showing me, how to be a tactical guy, how to be, understand situations. But I always had this sixth sense growing up in the hood. You got to know where the
yeah,
danger is, and
yeah,
you kind of knew the people to stay away from, the areas to stay away from. In this city, if you didn't have permission from somebody in the neighborhood that you wanted to traverse in and you
yeah,
wasn't supposed to be there, bad things would happen. But if you were there and with permission from whoever invited you, oh, you was good.
yeah.
But if you didn't have permission, you just didn't show up and think
Right.
you just gonna, walk around and let me see what's over here. No, you don't do that.
Yeah,
You don't do
yeah,
that.
and I've heard that, but actually I've heard that about like the favelas in Brazil.
Well, it was like
There's
that in
actual tours.
California. Yeah. Yeah, dude,
Yeah.
you those now I've I keep saying I wanna go, but I haven't been to, Brazil quite yet, but, I still wanna get there eventually, and I have a buddy of mine that
Yeah.
goes out there about every 3 months,
And I would love to do it.
and I know
Um,
what's the name of it? They have a school there that invite, Americans to come and stay and train, at
mhm.
at a place, and I can't remember the name of the school, but and then Helson, everybody, I think he still have relatives there. So I imagine if you wanted to go,
Oh,
you
yeah,
can.
yeah, he's
But
down
yeah.
there. I would, if I went, I would wanna go when John Vandestein
Oh
is home
yeah.
and
Oh
teaching,
yeah.
and I'd probably try to hit some of his classes.
Oh man, that
Um,
dude, anytime he
yeah,
comes here, I try to make his sim because literally, and you know this, everything he show you will kill you.
100%, and, like, you do not wanna be his Yuki.
Oh,
Um, he yeah, everything he does is precise and sharp, and it's uncomfortable.
oh man. Yeah, not
Yeah.
like I say, just not tell people, and I probably told you this, so I know I have. Everywhere I go, I take my gi.
Mhm.
Florida, uh, Costa Rica, uh, DR, California. When I'm
Yeah.
out there, I train over at Roger Machado's, Texas,
Okay.
Carlos
Yeah.
Machado's,
Yeah,
and
Dallas, yeah.
yeah, oh man, one of the best experiences. and I've had men being in Pasadena with Roger. We remember when the first John Wick movie came out.
Yeah.
I'm in there at his school there in Pasadena, you know, uh, off of Los Robos Drive, and I'm looking at the movie because I went to the theater to watch it right down the street there off of Colorado.
Yeah.
And his place is off Los Robos in Colorado, right down the street from the hotel where I stay. And I'm looking at, I said, "Hey, Raj," I said, "they did a lot of jujitsu in that movie." He started laughing. He said, "Oh yeah, 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 yeah." Me and my brothers, we trained Keanu Reeves in these jujitsu moves. And
Yeah.
see, you
That
look at
was
it.
Joe Rogan's gym as well.
Oh, okay. Now Jaroka's gym is in California
Well, no, so Joe Rogan lives in Dallas now, but when he was in
now.
LA, I know that Rogan he's a black belt under Machado.
Oh, I thought he was Eddie Bravo black belt.
So he's got both.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So he got so all no gi with Eddie Bravo, and the gi has
Oh,
been under Machado.
oh,
That's the way
which
that I
Machado
understand.
though?
And I could be wrong, but I think he's done it under each coach.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
where so his gi black belt is from Machado.
Now I've never met Joe, but we was at the Orpheum for one of the I don't know, first or second uh, EBIs, Eddie Bravo Invitationals, and they had the professional fighters there, and watching those guys go, and it was exciting. But the most exciting
Yeah.
match of that fight thing was a 15-year-old girl and a 16-year-old girl.
Yeah.
The most exciting, but they didn't get paid.
Yeah. So yeah, it's his black belt was in 2012 under, and he's under Jean Jacques Machado.
Okay, Jean Jacques. Okay, yeah. Well, Roger, said, yeah, me and my brothers, we helped them put this jujitsu thing, that fight scene together for the first John Wick movie. And then he invited me to a camp that all the brothers, the Machado brothers, came to in Texas at Carlos's spot, which is huge, right? I think I had just got I was a blue belt or just got my purple belt, but there was 100 black belts there from all over the world. Go over there 2 days, morning session, evening session, 3 days. See, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. You could come one, or you could come two, or you come all three. Went to all three. I still have the stuff on video that I did and I need to look at that because I can't remember if I was a four-stripe blue belt or a purple belt. But man, some of the best training. And man, because I called Roger the other day and asked him, when are all the brothers going to get together? When I first met Hegan, man, that dude, I thought, I mean, when I first met him, so I didn't know him like I knew Roger, right? I thought he could be a serial killer, man, the way he looked. I'm thinking, man,
That's
oh
funny.
man. And then John, now you remember John Machado? Did you ever see the movie Red Belt?
No.
Oh man, you got to watch Red Belt with Enifi Ikafor actor. It's called Red Belt. One of the best the only
Okay.
jujitsu movie, but one of the best jujitsu movies ever made. Red Belt. Red Belt.
I
And
see it.
John was,
2008.
huh?
I looked it up just for reference.
Yeah, John was in that movie. Played a very good role. And you talk about honest character, dignity. All those characteristics were displayed in that movie with
Yeah.
the Red Belt, the movie. And
I'll have to watch it.
yeah, yeah, man. You'll when you start watching it, you understand the fight was never in the ring. I'll just say that. The fight was
Okay.
never in the ring. But that
Right.
that was one of the best movies. But yeah, when I got to SWAT, I used that a lot. My whole After I learned that first move from Greg Fierce, which was the first full contact karate champion in the world, I started picking up these whole jujitsu thing, and I was like, man, this is like you feel like a superhero because when you do it and you have it down to perfection, it's effortless. And when people don't know what you're doing to them, it doesn't look like, oh, you're actually basically going to put them to sleep. It doesn't look like that. If
Right.
somebody don't know what they're looking for or looking at. So it's and they call it the general art, the gentle art. But when you knee on the belly somebody, or you just put a nasty choke on, or getting ready to snap an arm, it ain't so gentle. But that whole time, doing the tactical operations that we train with, and the jujitsu, man, just made for me the job and life so much easier and better. Uh, it was a thrill for me to be able to go to. I look forward to going to work every day to be with my cats every day. I look forward to it because it was fun. I look
Yeah.
forward to going to class. Of what else can I learn today? Who's going to show me something new? Hell, I can't remember when I first saw the first black belt. I think it was Jeff, because I remember a guy that came in that was a purple belt. We
Yeah.
thought that, man, this dude was a god, a purple belt.
Sure.
And he had thighs on him, and all he was like a triangle guy, like T City, right?
Yeah.
And I saw he showed us his triangles, and it's like, man. But then now you see multiple black belts all over. Fretson, and I can't remember, and Rob, when we was talking about Fretson, I can't remember Fretson's last name. Say Faisal, I think, but that might not be right. But Fretson was one of the first black belts that actually came and started teaching here with John Cooper. And
Okay.
then he went over to with Jeff and Robin, and started teaching. And because Fretson was, when I was living out east, John was trying, because we had the North End School with Jeff and Robin. John Cooper was trying to open up a school out in Picktown, next to actually World's Gym, where when they left Lonsdale and Livingston, they moved over off of 256. They had a space that we were trying to get so Preston could teach, and actually Preston was going to stay with me because it's like 5 minutes away from that area. But Preston was like maybe 140 pounds, and when he got side body or knee in the belly on you, if the pallets of bricks,
Yeah.
if yeah, man, hey Preston, I'm tapping, get off of me, please. I always
Yeah.
said, please get off of me, Preston. But he
It's
was
kinda
like
like how the
140
general just says
pounds.
sorry every time he's gonna
Yeah, yeah. The general says sorry. Yeah, yeah,
sorry, and then he chokes you. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's just like, but man, just the number of people that I had the opportunity to meet and roll with, just from this sport alone, it's been
Yeah.
incredible. And then, um, I have a, a company that I'm looking for tactical guys with jujitsu backgrounds to do things, to help make people safe, to show them little
Okay.
tricks, for self protection, situational awareness, home protection. And I talked about my buddy in it was a San Francisco policeman, Dave Sands. I met him at the main school in Torrance, 2014 maybe. And Dave and I are still friends to the day. We go to all the UFC fights, or well, back then the Bellator fights, UFC fights. And the crazy part, we've been everywhere for the fights except for Vegas.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And we both were mad at each other for not suggesting going to the Sphere. Remember they had the big fight at
Right.
the Sphere?
Yeah.
We should have went
Noche,
to that
yeah.
fight. Yeah. And hell, Joe, Daniel, all those guys saying that was the most awesome venue for if
Right.
it's not a circle, it's like a stage. So you sit.
Right.
It's like, well, when they were down at the Orpheum. Orpheum is a big, like the
Uh-huh.
Ohio Theater's the front stage, but with the lighting and oh man, they said that was awesome. If they have another
I think
one
they're
there,
gonna do it again.
I hope so. Because I
Yeah.
told Dave that we had to go, and his brother. Now Dave got his brown belt before me. Then he talked shit, Then he got his black belt before me. Then he talked shit. And his brother, Michael Sands, lives in San Diego. And so all of us are pretty close. But Dave and I are the two that go out and train together when I'm out west, or we meet up someplace else in the world, and we train. Um, and Michael, his brother, is in San Diego. He's one of the head instructors over at Clark Gracie's school in San Diego. And if you know Clark is a omoplata guy. He'll catch you an omoplata from any and every position that you. Well, oh shoot, he got you.
Yeah.
How did he do that? Clark
Yeah.
came down to Athens at Carlos's place for a seminar a few years ago. And I look at the picture. We all went out to dinner. They held the restaurant open for us, the same place that we went to when Hoist came in, Texas Roadhouse in Athens. They held it open for us. And I look at that picture, all those guys, Tyler, BJ, me, Ben, I think, oh, I hope all the guys that were there, Brad, and I'm thinking everybody sitting at that table was killing everybody. And
Yeah.
that's just through jujitsu, man. It's like all the people that
It's
you meet.
it's a funny thing when you get a group of, 5, 6 guys that are all, jujitsu guys, and you go eat, and, just sort of the idea of, you know, I don't know, pretty tough table.
Oh yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and obviously you're treating people with respect and you're kind, and,
Oh
nobody
yeah.
is the wiser, but in your head you're like, man, if something actually went down.
Oh man. That's funny you say that because when I was in we went to Israel for some stuff years ago. Me and a buddy of
Yeah.
mine. It was the Israeli, the IDF guys. A buddy of mine that I saw in New York and didn't know. We spoke, but I didn't know what his background was. He shows up in the room because they kept telling us, so we waiting on one more guy, and once he get here, we're gonna get something to eat, right? So this guy that I saw in New York shows up in Israel and was our roommate for a week. I'm thinking he's the ex-Vietnam Special Forces guy, and then we're all
Yeah.
out at a table in Israel. Now, I always places you go around the world, right? You think about could I live here, and then how
Yeah.
good the food is. Yeah, Israel's one of the places. Of
Really?
course, South
Okay.
America. Oh, yeah, South America's and Jordan is another private buddy of mine that's actually Jordanian, which the Dead Sea. You could float from Israel, literally float from
And,
Israel to Jordan.
maybe I'm not picky enough, but
Yeah.
I don't know of any places that I've ever been in the world where the food wouldn't be good enough for me to eat. Like everywhere's got its flavor, and I've been
Yeah.
around the world. Um, and I find food that boy, the kimchi and the yakimandu in Korea
Hmm.
were amazing, and
Oh
the
yeah.
soba in Japan, and
Mm.
um, so almost everywhere I've been, there's some kind of food that the burritos in California, tacos,
Yeah,
yeah,
from
like
the trucks. Never the
yeah.
restaurants are cool, but the trucks.
Well,
Yeah.
there's a place in Del Mar right off base. It's called Kalima's, and I dream of their carne asada burritos.
You say it's Talima's?
It's called Kalima's,
Oh, Kalima's.
and
Kalima's.
it's
Okay.
yeah, it's just out
Yeah.
there in Oceanside. It's boy, it's awful for you. There's a reason I'm overweight. But boy, that food is so good.
It's not awful.
Anyway,
It's not awful. But that we sitting there all eating. I'm thinking, man, all these guys sitting at that table in Israel,
yeah,
same thing. Don't come here acting up. And we having a good time.
yeah,
And the food was unbelievably good. Unbelievably good. Everything that we but that's just how I think.
yeah.
Certain places, in the world you go to, it's like
You know,
the people, the food. Do I feel comfortable? Do I feel uh, uh, this is where I could be. You know, Amsterdam was another place. You ever been to Amsterdam?
No.
Man, man, I would
Yeah.
just say this: Amsterdam is 100 times. Well, they've changed some things there since, but to
It's
me,
like Vegas on steroids, isn't it?
it's 100 times better than Vegas. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
Interesting.
yeah, I love those places, man. Just and then of course my probably my favorite places in the world is like I said, South America. Was I always
So,
try to go to the neighborhoods instead, get off the strip
yeah.
areas, the
Mhm.
commercial. I go to the neighborhoods, and
It's the best way
that's
to
you
do
talking
it.
about some good food. Yeah,
So, here's what I'm gonna do, Oscar, because my episodes are typically between an hour and a half, and I know that we could go much longer. What we're gonna do is we're gonna wrap it up here, and then we will get together another day, we'll do this again, we'll have a part 2 of Oscar Singer, and we'll get into the growth that you had within jujitsu. Does that
yeah, that'd be
sound
great.
okay?
Oh, it sounds perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, we could go
Yeah.
all night.
Yeah, we could. Yeah, it's easy. It's easy when we both have, stories and lives and we get along and obviously jujitsu. So, but number one, Oscar, I appreciate your time. Thank you for giving that, and thank you for being a good example for everybody that's in our gym. I know that um, to a man, every single person, Oscar is maybe the most interesting man in the world, and he's also one of the kindest. So, um, the things that you do are noticed by everybody, and we all appreciate who you are as a human, and we're all, uh, you know, awe inspired in some ways of your athletic achievements, your professional achievements, and everything that you do. So, we will do another part 2 with Oscar, provided
Okay.
he's willing to come back and
Oh
play
yeah,
with his technology and get this thing up and running.
yeah. But by that time,
And
hopefully, I
and
have a updated iPad.
yeah, we'll be fine, man. We'll figure it out one way or another. And again, I appreciate you coming on. And if you're listening, uh, everything that we talk about on the show, as far as how you treat people, um, keep in mind that you can impact somebody's life in a positive way. That's on and off the mats. If you see somebody that's just getting started in jujitsu, pair up with them and maybe teach them and help them get started. Um, if you see somebody struggling with something, take the time and help them out, because what's going to happen is you're going to help that new person. You're going to help that person that's struggling. They're going to turn a corner and then they're going to have stuff to give back to you, and
Mhm.
they're going to become a better training partner and they're going to make you better. So um, that's how you build a good gym community. So
Mhm. Can I say?
Oscar,
Can I
again,
say?
thank you. Yeah,
Can I
yeah,
say
go ahead.
one more thing? Because
Yeah,
and you heard me say this before. Three things that I try to do every day that I exist is learn something new, meet someone new, and do a kind thing for a complete and total stranger.
there you go.
And I'm not
Yeah.
you'll be in tomorrow, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, we'll be there
Yeah,
bright and early. Yeah. So learn something new, meet someone new, and do a kindness to a stranger.
yeah.
And we're gonna get into that next time we have Oscar on.
All righty, man. Well, I'll see you bright and early tomorrow.
Yes, sir, you will. For everybody listening, please like and subscribe and share and all that fun stuff. It helps the show out, helps us get the show out to more people. And we'll see you next week. This has been Still Rolling Jiu Jitsu. Thank you.
Yep.